The deep state is going into convulsions with more agencies joining, some at the FBI saying don't release the memo. Hundreds of articles out hysterically just saying it's total proof Trump's a Russian, Alex Jones is one. I mean, they're just doubling down on the hysteria. We see our country in a full civil war against the globalist forces, the multinationals seeking to bankrupt the nation and bring us into total economic, cultural, and spiritual bondage to establish an unelected planetary technocracy in their own words. And then you see nationalists popping up all over the world fighting back against it, and everywhere they get controlled, instantly prosperity comes back because the globalists siphon everything off. They want a post-industrial world where they shut down local communities, where they shut down local farming, where they shut down local autonomy and local diversity of industry and business and production and centralize it in vertical integration. And that is what is going on, period. And as we expose globalism and its authoritarian dreams and its long swath of crimes, it will never succeed. But it's trying. And what does it do? It says in Catalan, Spain. It says in Greece. It says in Italy. It says in Reykjavik. It says in England, Scotland, and Ireland. It says in Brazil. It says in Nigeria. It says in countries and regions all over the world. If you try to vote in pro-nationalist groups that are free market and who want to get the globalist out of the control of your nations, and if you don't like China with all these internal tariffs against you, but then you've got tariffs set up against your own businesses, if you do that, we're going to say you're a Russian agent. And the Russians have given us the lowest unemployment in 80 years, in just 1 year. The Russians have given us the biggest stock market ever, and the Russians have given us some of the biggest military spending ever and some of the greatest control of the border ever. And the Russians, they've just put over 80,000 extra U.S. troops on the Russian border and moved tactical nuclear weapons up against themselves. And they've got Trump announcing hundreds of Russian rich people that they're going to call oligarchs, and then the U.S. is just going to grab their money. Man, that is quite a move by the Russians. It's pretty amazing. And, of course, they say anybody that wants to release the memo, that's a Russian bot. No proof, no facts. Doesn't matter. You see, they're the globalists. They're the outsiders. And so they've got to then say, oh, everybody that opposes us are Russian agents. And if you talk to a Russian, or if you ever travel to Russia, if you get a Russian visa, you're a Russian agent. And they're hinging everything on Donald Trump Jr. meeting with a Russian lawyer who said she wanted to meet about ending the ban on Russian adoption into the U.S. Coming up, we've got video of Maxine Waters saying Russia's out to get her. That's coming up in the next segment. And they hinge everything on that. And now they admit there's no Russian collusion, but that they are going after obstruction. And it just goes on and on. And to watch Colbert, we've got the clip. It's on Infowars.com, a Steve Watson article. Stephen Colbert, a teleprompter reader posing as a comedian who poses as a newsman so he can put out fake news. He had Senator Rand Paul on and just kept saying, oh, but we've got proof that Trump colluded with the Russians. And it must be true. He's wearing smart guy glasses. It never ends. So that's coming up. But they're not stopping. But here's the good news. With that State of the Union, and with even the skewed polls showing Trump on average at 75%, the globalists have had their back broken. And the left is in total free-for-all panic. They're becoming a coastal elite party. They are imploding. They're falling apart. And they've sold this notion that some Republicans are retiring because they know the Democrats are about to take over. Most of the Republicans retiring are neocons that see the poll numbers and see primary challengers coming up. Some are stepping down because they're sick of just being in Washington like Trey Gowdy. But overall, the poll numbers show that even the fake 10, 15 points that they had in these battleground states in the 2018 election is evaporating. And so they're a dying party that tried to double-cross the country, that sold us out to the multinationals. The Republican establishment that worked with them in treason is being exposed and rooted out and ferreted out, or is joining the nationalist movement. If they can't beat us, they're starting to join us. And so they're in full panic mode. As the deep state continues its memo fight, the Democrats' blue wave fantasy dies on the vine. And Vice President Pence and Trump are planning, of course, political stops to rally the troops across the country. And you're going to see record election fraud taking place, just like we saw in Alabama, where Roy Moore, remember, is 15 points behind in polls. He only loses by half a point. That's how they skew it to make it look like a bandwagon. Well, he's going to lose. I might as well, vote for the other person to say I'm a winner. He's 15 points behind. Then he loses by half a point because the polls add, on average, 10 to 15 points in every race. So if Trump's got a 75% approval rating on that speech, it means he broke through to people that were in their trance and got a lot of people, 10, 15% or so, that were in la-la land to finally realize this is a real message of unity. And wow, a lot of good stuff's happened in the last year. And it was dozens and dozens of polls showed 70, 75, 78, 79 was the highest poll we saw. CNN's own poll said 70%, and they had to dismiss it. So they're going into full insane asylum mode now because they crave power, they crave control over the people. And Katie barred the door. In the states they control that are falling apart, they're going to try to then create little authoritarian utopias for themselves. New Mexico wants to make it the law that you've got to go to college and go into debt. Oh, that's in the news today. I told you, they want to draft you into government service is what it's going to be. Also, intelligence agencies join FBI in push against plans to release the FISA memo. Congress is now signaling that Trump may release the memo as early as today. The word I heard was Monday, but that's in the news now. We'll see. The FBI is threatening Trump over FISA memo. Paul Joseph Watson article. We have those video clips coming up in the next segment as well. Schiff claims House Intel Republicans secretly altered spy memo, but offers no proof. Again, Republican memo likely to be released Thursday. Administration officials said, that's Reuters. That's today. FBI officials review surveillance memo, could not cite any factual inaccuracies. They just said it's dangerous, don't release it. That's Fox News. But the Washington Post and Reuters spun it. FBI expresses grave concerns, close quote, over Republican memo's accuracy. And they don't really do that. They just said that there.